we've all seen that video, right? If you're my age, which is somewhere between a millennial cusp, a zoomer rising, a zillennial moon, you are probably at least somewhat familiar with Justin Bieber's YouTube career and rise to stardom. He has been a long-standing part of our pop culture consumption. I've never exactly been a believer myself, but I'm familiar enough with his story. He started posting videos to YouTube, he was eventually the biggest pop sensation from a very young age, and over the years, he's been able to sort of evolve his sound with the pop trends of the time. He's a hitmaker even now. But aside from his clear musical prowess and performance talent, Justin Bieber has been in the spotlight for two very different reasons: his mental health and his relationships, and some people are starting to speculate that those two things are actually connected. But is that any of your business? Fuck no, and it's not mine either, and I'm a hypocrite for even mentioning it. That's the video, thanks for coming out. No, seriously, today I want to talk about celebrity relationships and the speculation industrial complex, for lack of a better phrase. To put it simply, what kinds of private details should be off-limit when it comes to discussing public figures? Who benefits from those kinds of social media narratives? And if public scrutiny becomes too much, are we actually complicit if that person has a crash out? And not to alarm anyone, but like, the more time that I spend on the internet, the more I'm starting to realize that some people on here have bad intentions. What do I mean by bad intentions? Do you know what a data broker is? Cause they could be stealing from you right now. Unfortunately for you, these pesky buggers are more than capable of buying your personal information, which could put you at risk of identity theft or make you the target of a phishing scam. But there is a solution to this rather dystopian problem, and that is why I'm so excited to talk to you all about today's sponsor, DeleteMe. DeleteMe is a hands-free subscription service that will remove your personal information that's being sold online. All I had to do was tell them what information I wanted removed, and then DeleteMe's experts got to work, eliminating my personal details from places on the internet that I certainly did not want them to be in. And within that week, they also sent me a privacy report showing me just how much of that information they were able to remove. And I really appreciated the quickness, transparency, and the convenience. Because protecting your data should be a thing on everyone's to-do list, and thanks to DeleteMe, it does not have to be tedious or difficult. And that is why I am so excited to team up with DeleteMe today, because we are giving out a special code that will give you 20% off on all consumer plans. And that includes family plans, because if data brokers can see your data, they can see your family members too. So what are you waiting for? Get 20% off of those consumer plans when you go to joindeleteme.com/KaylaSays and use my code KaylaSays at checkout. That is joindeleteme.com/KaylaSays and use my code KaylaSays. And thank you so much to our friends at DeleteMe for sponsoring today's video. So brief recap if you're not familiar with what Justin Bieber has been up to lately and why so many people are talking about him. What if I told you that it somehow has something to do with Selena Gomez?
Selena Gomez is engaged to Benny Blanco. The singer and the music producer, who started dating in the summer of 2023 before going public later that year, are officially taking their relationship to the next level. And it's clear Benny has been the one Selgo wants to love on and on and on ever since the two debuted their romance in December 2023.
I think it's common knowledge that Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez used to date, and now they don't anymore, and both of them are in long-term relationships with other people. Justin is married to Hailey Bieber, formerly Hailey Baldwin, and they have a young child, and Selena just got engaged to music producer Benny Blanco. A lot of people have characterized Justin and Selena's relationship as ill-fated lovers, right person, wrong time, and have speculated that Justin is still secretly pining after her after all of these years. Not only that, but people have gone as far as to develop a narrative that Justin's wife Hailey is the one who got in the way of this by manipulating her way into his life. I started hearing about this conspiracy after being served TikTok videos about a 7-part series that supposedly explains all of this.
Everyone keeps talking about this 7-part series about Hailey Bieber. It has gone absolutely viral this past weekend and is all about Hailey Bieber being a stalker of Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez.
After watching that 7-part series, it all started this day. Because Hailey, what do you mean you stayed with Justin after finding out he was texting Selena Gomez 23 times on your wedding day, girl?
Yo, did Hailey Bieber get the 7-part series about her obsession with Justin Bieber deleted from the internet?
Now, after doing some digging, I found out that this alleged 7-part docu-series is actually just chunks of a YouTube video that were cut up and reposted elsewhere, and the video itself does a dive into Hailey Bieber's whole thing. They describe how she used to be a huge fan of Justin's and would allegedly use her own celebrity connections to stalk him at hotels and whatnot, and then the narrator goes a bit further and describes how Hailey often copies Selena either with her outfits or her general mannerisms.
Clothes. On June 4th, 2015, Selena Gomez would be spotted with a new tattoo behind her ear. This tattoo is just the letter G and is supposedly a tribute to her baby sister Gracie. However, on June 16th, just 12 days later, Hailey Baldwin would be spotted sporting an almost identical G tattoo in the same exact location as Selena's. Hailey would claim that the tattoo is an homage to her pastor's daughter Georgia, but Hailey, seemingly copying Selena while simultaneously rooting on her downfall, will become harder and harder to ignore.
After this series went viral on TikTok, people started discussing a number of awkward on-camera moments caught between the two of them over the years.
Just honest, babe. I can't, don't touch me right now. Like, not right now, but I'm just saying.
I thought you were being serious.
No, just in general. Got me in chills, but my hands on.
Can I cut through here?
Does this look like a playground to you? This is a studio workplace, and you're disrupting me. That is not cool.
I still get nervous with her in the room for some reason. I'm gonna be done in 30 minutes. We're gonna go and eat. You wanna just go back? And I was like, basically getting her out of the studio so I could finish this. I don't wanna like make her feel bad about it. I had to plan a dinner, and I didn't have a dinner plan.
Found out that like, I think it was an arranged marriage, I'm pretty sure. I'm not. Looking back now, I'm like, it was definitely an arranged marriage. Like, they set this whole thing up. No, but,
And finally, fans have noticed that Justin Bieber's social media activity as of late has been a bit concerning, posting videos in which he appears to be either high or strung out, and in some cases posting things that make him seem rather emotionally volatile, especially alongside the timing of Selena and Benny Blanco getting engaged. Now, it wouldn't be a Kayla Says video if I did not at least try to make you assess your own opinions and biases in behavior in the pursuit of making you a more empathetic person, right? So let's take a second to play our favorite game. Is this bad, actually? Now, celebrity gossip forums have been around for a long time, right? It started with tabloid magazines and later evolved into personality-driven content like Perez Hilton, and now it's all like faceless AI-generated tea spill channels that rot your brain out of your ears. This is not unfamiliar territory. But my issue with the celebrity relationship speculation industry is that a lot of times it's not built upon anyone's actions, but rather by disingenuous narratives, and it's only gotten worse with the rise in social media use. Back in the day, we used to just rely on anonymous inside sources from People magazine and TMZ that were either total bullshit or had a small modicum of truth in a sea of perpetual falsehoods. But now, those inside sources have evolved into outside spectators who are just doing, like, body language interpretation bullshit. Here's what I mean. Justin Bieber and Hailey Baldwin are not airing out all of their dirty laundry on a podcast or in written statements. Maybe their behavior on social media is cryptic enough to be interpreted as shady or dramatic or like there's trouble in paradise. Ultimately, you will use your biases to determine how you feel about their actions because they are not explicitly filling in those gaps for you. However, the narrative that you currently believe about Selena and Hailey and Justin has been woven together by strangers online who don't care if what they're speculating on is actually true. They're just putting together a good story. And that's not to say it isn't true either, or that you're a bad or misinformed person for believing any of the evidence that's being presented in any of these videos. We cast judgments. That's what our brains naturally do. But that doesn't mean we can't be empathetic toward the people on the receiving end of that scrutiny, and yes, that applies to not only Justin, but also Selena and Hailey. And maybe the place that you land in all of this is that you don't look at anyone here favorably, especially Justin, because many people have characterized his actions during this time as immature or irresponsible, especially now that he's a parent. And I just wonder, and I'm not saying that like this is the case, I'm just like actively wondering if the internet plays a role and has some responsibility in whatever happens next. And again, it's just a question that I'm posing, and I think as a pop culture commentator, I go back and forth on whether or not that's the case. Let me give you an example, and maybe it'll make more sense as to why I'm bringing this point up, right? A couple months ago, last fall, I did a video in a popular series on this channel called How the Internet Fell Out of Love with Liam Payne. If you're watching this, you've probably seen a How the Internet Fell Out of Love video, even if you didn't know it was from me. But basically it's a series where like I profile a person and I talk about a fandom community's perception of them over a period of time, their rise to fame, and I chronicle like how people kind of turn on them. And sometimes the reasoning for that can be rather inconsistent. It depends on the person that I'm profiling. It's everything from like serious allegations to like doing something cringe online, right? That could be the turning point for any famous person. And in the Liam Payne video specifically, I of course talked a little bit about like, the news kind of going on around him at that time, which involved serious allegations made against him by an ex-girlfriend that he had, who had written a book about her alleged experiences, and then she was also talking about those experiences more personally on TikTok around that time. 5 days after I posted that video, Liam Payne died very tragically. And as soon as it happened, people started coming to the comments of that video, which is no longer up, telling me that it was videos like mine that were to blame for what happened to Liam Payne. And I do not think that is a fair assessment, nor do I really subscribe to that theory at all, because in those videos, I do my due diligence and I take the time to, make sure that whatever I'm discussing is, grounded in some semblance of the real world and is fair and accurate. So I was discussing Liam Payne's ex's allegations. I wasn't just like, in that video making stuff up and pulling things from like a reality that didn't happen about why Liam Payne is a bad person, right? But the moment that situation turned tragic, everyone started looking for someone to blame, as if these people had not been complicit in making fun of Liam Payne for whatever cringy actions he was participating in prior to that tragedy. And obviously, I'm not hoping that or expecting, I guess, anything tragic to happen to Justin Bieber, although people have, been making those comparisons online. I've seen a lot of like, this is how Aaron Carter was behaving before XYZ happened. But what I am saying is that people treat this stuff like it's funny until one day it isn't. And again, that's not to say that we have to hold empathy for every single famous person, just because it's so hard being famous, right? Like some people just don't like Justin Bieber because of how he treats his wife. And, is dunking on them here and there a little bit really going to make a significant impact on them? For the most part, I don't think so, but I think the distinction here for me comes in where it's like, it's public scrutiny based entirely off of like secondhand speculation with no actual allegations or accounting behind it, you know what I mean? Especially because it's not even just like, it's left the realm of, Justin, Hailey, Selena love triangle, and it's gotten more into like conspiratorial territory. For example, a lot of people have been talking about how Justin Bieber, because of when he kind of came up in, the music industry, was likely exposed to the abuses of Diddy and everyone who was involved in that situation, and people are now speculating that like that's the sudden reason why he's actually crashing out, and that he's like re-traumatized with all of like the Diddy court case stuff coming out, and they're kind of just like pathologizing this onto him without really like knowing that or knowing any of the details of that situation. I just worry that we like tend to make jokes and dehumanize based on misinformation to the point where like we're not even really seeing the person anymore. We're just seeing these kind of like little dolls in a dollhouse for us to like play with and make believe stories over, And to reiterate, I'm not saying that engaging in lighthearted internet discourse about the rich and powerful people in Hollywood makes you culpable if they have some sort of incident or inevitable reckoning. But I am saying that I think there can be a reasonable middle ground between I am going to roast this man for the clear mental health crisis he's having because he's made some bizarre relationship choices, and oh no, if you've ever joked about Justin Bieber's mental health, you're a terrible person, and I'm not just saying this because I'm projecting a hindsight 2020 holier-than-thou attitude and unliking a lot of TikToks to prove that I am not the problem, everyone else is. And I'm not, like, projecting to have all of the answers here. I think, like, you know, as a pop culture commentator, I try to do my due diligence and interrogate, you know, whether or not what I'm doing is more harmful than helpful as someone with a platform. And trust me, there are plenty of, you know, tea-spill pop culture channels on here who are not doing that at all. And I think an important part of, like, reckoning with that kind of, you know, information that you cover, is understanding that, like, you can make mistakes, you are a fallible person, maybe you thought that you were covering something or talking about something in a respectful way, and then someone who actually has that lived experience may educate you about how you harmed, even if that wasn't your intent, even if you thought you were being respectful, or even if you thought you were just being funny. At the very least, I think what helps everyone in general when we're doing, like, pop culture criticism and analysis, especially when it comes to relationships and speculation, is to, at the very least, just, like, question where you're getting this information and, like, where that information is coming from, and of course, question whether or not someone was paid to put it there, right? Not saying that's the case here, I'm just saying it's the case sometimes. Like, just be critical of the content you're consuming, and then if you can take it one step further, even if, you know, you're talking about someone that you don't like or that you think is worthy of critique, just keep in mind that they are, like, also a human being. So fun fact, I actually saw Justin Bieber live in 2010 at an event called PopCon, which was where all these up-and-coming pop acts would perform, and Justin Bieber was the headliner at the end of the day. Again, I was not a huge fan, but a really good friend of mine was at the time, and when I see this clip, I think about where I was at that time and where he was, and he's not that much older than me, but yeah, just how hard it is to live most of your adolescence in the spotlight, and at that age, I don't think I could do any of what he did. And does that mean he's immune to critique for anything he does now? No, obviously not. But I'm starting to feel like we really set these young celebrities up to fail and then chastise them for not behaving the way we want to 100% of the time and monetizing their mistakes. And I don't know what the solution here is, but above all else, please keep in mind that next time you watch a 7-part docuseries, there is a chance that it is literally just one YouTube video made by some rando clipped into 7 parts. I really think some people on TikTok would run into a door if it was painted on a wall Wile E. Coyote style. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. 2 quick shoutouts. Check out these videos here that I made, if you haven't seen them yet, because they're good and I like them. And the second thing I want to shout out is some friends of mine at a channel called Super Ordinary. They just launched their first video on their channel, and they're making some really cool and creative stuff. So definitely go check them out. The link for that is in the description down below. And shout out to DeleteMe again for sponsoring today's video. So thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.